And I'm Kyle.
And we're driving and vibing.
Today we're going to continue our Q&A series by answering the question, how do we live in such a small space?
A lot of people want to know how we live in a 16-foot travel trailer full-time with a dog and don't kill each other.
And it's pretty easy, but we compiled a list of pros and cons today, and we're going to start with the cons. And the first one's pretty simple, but it's storage space. We just don't have much of it.
Yeah, we have to really pick and choose what we want to keep and things we have to get rid of. We constantly have to donate things to make more space. And we've got just enough room for our clothes, and like our kitchen area, like we can only store a few pots and pans.
And a big issue is storing the recycling somewhere. We have no place to put our recycled goods except the bathroom, so we end up having a shower full of cans and boxes and stuff like that.
But we hardly ever use the shower in our camper, so it's not too much of a big deal. We just kind of use it as more storage area.
Yeah.
So our kitchen space is also a con. It's just very small. We have very little prep space. I have no counter space at all, so we have to use the covers over the sink basically, and that's my entire prep space.
One of the big issues with the kitchen too is the depth of the sink and how much the water spigot doesn't raise.
Yeah, we have a very shallow sink and a very short water spigot.
Yeah, so it's hard to, like, a gallon jug is out of the question. We can barely just fit the coffee, the teapot underneath there.
Yep.
So that becomes an issue a lot of times.
Yeah, it makes it a little difficult washing like big pots and stuff like that.
And the oven was taken out of our camper, so we never got an oven put back in there. Now it's just a trash area, trash receptacle can.
Yeah.
And it works well for that, but we have no real oven to cook in except our new wave oven that we store in the back of the truck.
Yep, so we just have to like pull it out and put it back in, and so that's the only pain with that. And other than that, we have a small 2-burner gas stove to cook on.
Yeah.
And so we do most things all right in there. I've definitely learned how to manage that small space, but that brings us to our next point. We cannot be standing in the kitchen area at the same time.
This is one of the most frustrating parts of living in a small camper, is that there's only one place to stand in the whole camper, and it's the doorway and kitchen area. And if we're coming in at the same time or trying to leave at the same time, or one's trying to brush our teeth and one's trying to work in the kitchen.
Or if I'm cooking dinner and he's trying to get by, get to the bathroom or go outside.
Very hard.
Yeah, it's a dance for sure. It's a very narrow space, and especially because we usually always have our dinette set up in the bed form.
Yeah, that's really the last, or one of the other cons, is that our bed is also the dinette. We have to either break it down or put it up.
And because it's so difficult, we usually just leave it in the bed form most of the time. And we still like the option of having the dinette, so we didn't put an actual mattress in, and we use the cushions that make up the dinette, and it's kind of uncomfortable. So we have 2 different mattress toppers we put on top of it. And so we don't like to do this process often, and that means even less like moving around space.
Yeah, the good thing is it's a king-size bed, so we do have plenty of room on that bed to do whatever we want to do. But again, we have to commit to the bed because it takes so long to put up and down that 90% of the time it's as a bed. Mm-hmm. And like this last con on our list right now is small tank capacity. And for being 16 feet, we have tiny tanks. We've met other people with much larger tanks with 16 feet. Mm-hmm. Our gray water tank is only about 7 gallons.
Yep, and we do have a little bit more fresh water because someone made a modification and added a second water tank. So we probably have like close to 20 gallons of fresh water. But because of our small gray water capacity, it really limits our boondocking stays. We've learned how to be very conservative with it, so we can make it like about 5 days comfortably boondocking. And that's like not showering in the camper, trying to use paper plates and paper products while we're out so we don't have to do too many dishes, and just being super mindful of it.
Yeah, we've learned to live with it, but if we were to ever upgrade, it would be a huge relief to have great big holding tanks.
That would be really awesome.
But now, those are pretty much most of the cons we can think of. Other than small little things here or there, there aren't that many cons.
There isn't.
And we'll get onto the list of pros now. The one upgrade we actually made by moving into this camper was having a king-size bed. Yep. Prior to that, we only had a queen-size bed.
Yep, it definitely allows all 3 of us room to space out and not touch one another and have our own space. So that's really nice.
The other great pro about having this small of a camper is the mobility it gives us to be able to fit in tons of places. We can go off-road a little more because we have a higher clearance and we're not very long.
Yep.
And just the boondocking sites we can get into are well worth the size.
Definitely. And even at campgrounds, a lot of times they have smaller sites that so many of the big rigs can't fit in. So even if they're like at capacity in most of the park, usually they have like a small little site that doesn't get used often, so we can fit in.
Yeah, we've gone into some awesome pull-through sites that are so tiny, but that were perfect sites for us having full hookups. So
Definitely.
it's proven to be good. And let's see, what's another pro?
Like, the next thing that we are really grateful about is our consumer awareness. We are really aware of like what we're bringing in and putting out into the world. And we only buy what we need, and we keep fresh fruits and veggies.
And we truly have no room for extra stuff. So if we're going to buy something, we really have to think about where is it going to go before we buy it.
We have limited food storage space and a mini fridge. So even though we can't get gigantic hauls, we can still fill it with enough food to last for the week, and that means that we will eat our vegetables and fruit in time before they turn. So that's good too.
Yeah, and let's see. So that kind of goes along with we're not wasting money on like a bunch of stuff, which is cool. But one of the big pros is the cost of it. It doesn't cost as much as a big rig because it's 16 feet, and it doesn't cost. So we didn't spend that much up front, and we don't spend that much to repair it because the repairs are pretty simple and basic.
Yeah, pretty minor, and it's just not taking as huge of a strain as like a giant RV would be. You know, you are basically like putting your camper or home into earthquake situations all the time, going down the road and gravel roads and things like that, so things are bound to break and happen. And that doesn't mean we don't have repairs or have them often, but they're usually really minor. And we definitely so far haven't had any trouble with like our tires and weight distribution and things like that.
Yeah, we do see so often on these Facebook forums where people have blowouts and, you know, they're overweight. That's just the overweight aspect for us is not something we're going to come across. Being 16 feet, and not to mention we have 4 tires underneath there with 2 axles, so the weight remains pretty well spread out. It's easy to, you know, that just keeps the cost down in general, and that's one of my favorite parts about the camper.
So easy to maneuver.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we really like about it is it's so easy to clean. We can boondock for a week and really just, it can be a mess. And we pull into a campground, get our full hookups, and I can have the whole thing cleaned in an hour.
Yeah, you know, we have about, I'd say, 10 square feet to sweep.
Yep, and I mean, it's mainly just the process of putting the dinette up, stripping the bed down, and doing laundry and things like that. And other than that, I mean, it's just a little organization and cleaning up.
Everything has a home, so even if it's not in its home, we know exactly where that place is.
Yep.
So usually I just get a stash of junk on the corner of my bed, and that's the biggest mess in the whole camper, and all we have to do is put those things back into place.
Yep. So, like, another thing that's been awesome for us and that we've realized is it's really, like, helped build our communication skills as far as our relationship goes. When you're in a bad mood in a tiny space, it affects everyone in the camper. Everyone knows. So you're encouraged to let things go and talk them out and resolve issues more quickly. It doesn't help anyone to dwell on it or hold on to it. So we've gotten really good at saying how we feel and getting things out in the open.
Definitely. It's been, you know, no one wants to put off bad vibes, and in that small of a space, those vibes ring out strong. So we just, you know, talk it out and see what's up, and usually it doesn't take long at all. You know, we can be pissed off for an hour or so, but it doesn't usually last, you know, much longer.
And the thing is, we really just genuinely enjoy being together. We really like each other's company, and we've also gotten really good at just zoning out, even when we're right next to each other. We can do our own things on our computers and put headphones on, listen to music, and still be like near each other, but still be doing our own things. So that's good. And River loves it.
Yeah, that's the other fun thing is before we left for life on the road, we would have to leave our dog at home, Riv, for like 5 to 6 hours at a time, and that happened every day of the week, and now we all get to be together 24 hours a day, and I know I enjoy it, and I think she does too.
She gets lots of attention, and we all are sure to make sure all of our needs are met, which is really awesome.
So, and the last big pro of living in a small space is that it forces you to get out of that space. And we can hang out in the camper for a few hours, but after a while, we just want to go out and explore, go hike, go see what the town's all about. It just encourages us to move around.
Yep, I mean, we don't just live in the 16-foot space. I mean, the whole world is our backyard, and we're constantly loving exploring new towns and getting out and exercising and being active. So we don't have to be inside all day long if we don't want to. Well, there's plenty of stuff to do outside, and we enjoy it.
So we would recommend it to anyone to live in a small space if they're up for it. It's all a frame of mind, and once you do it for a day or two, I know that for us it was an easy transition.
But it isn't for everyone. You definitely have to be about this lifestyle, and definitely be okay with having less and be a little bit more minimal in your experience and kind of focus on the experience more.
Yeah, I love it, and I would love to even go down a step further and go to a van one day to build our own van out from the inside and get it really feeling like home and have more mobility that way if we ever wanted to tour somewhere outside of America or outside of the USA into like Mexico or Canada. Yep. That'd be pretty cool.
It's definitely a very cool life, and we do have a lot of opportunities because we live so minimally. It helps us stick to our budget so much. I mean, we live on a pretty small budget as it is, but not having to put so much money into it, and being able to camp for free in many places, it really helps us stick to and focus on our budget. And we really love it and enjoy it, and a lot of people think we're crazy for doing it, but it's home to us.
It is that. So if you have a question you'd like us to answer, leave it in the comments below. We're always looking for new questions for our weekly Q&A series. So for us, it's easy to live in 16 feet. That's how we do it, and we're looking forward to hearing your comments. And if you live in less or the same or more, tell us what you think.
Definitely. Don't forget to leave us a comment with a topic for our next Q&A session. And we would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, we're driving and vibing. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, guys.